Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the First-Gen Chisme podcast. This is our fourth
I
episode?
think it's
Five?
this.
Six? I don't know. Welcome back.
You're here.
We took 1 week of break. And I think we're thinking of making the episodes like every other week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like having some focus with like first gen stories and then like some other just like first gen conversations and topics.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why we didn't have a podcast last week. But we're glad to be back. So yeah, so today the topic of our podcast will be talking about FAFSA, or
Whatever it
however
is.
you want to say it. Yeah,
Exactly.
people usually say like FAFSA, but it's
That's
like
what I say. FAFSA. Well,
FAFSA,
FAFSA.
right?
FAFSA.
FAFSA. I think it's FAFSA. I don't know. Point is, that's the conversation for today's podcast. And yeah, I am joined here with.
Sophia Leal, once again, just co-host. Pretty much what Leslie already said. We're just gonna talk about FAFSA or however you prefer to say it. And it's just our stories with it.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
Mhm.
and also within any of the conversations that we talk, I about any topics, about opportunities, resources, etc. We're kind of basing it off from our own experiences as first gen students. So we're no professionals, but we definitely, you can look at us as like your older kind of sister, or like cousin
Your
who
older
helps you
prima.
through this process. Right, right. So definitely take any advice that you want to take from what we give, but definitely
Mhm.
we encourage you to speak out to your professionals within your own institution and school, to
Yeah.
make sure that you're doing these resources correctly. But yeah, I thought I would just kind of do that in the beginning to just make sure that students know that we're speaking from our own experiences as we continue our journeys here in college. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Mm,
So yeah.
I was gonna say like,
Mhm.
okay, to piggyback off of that,
Yeah.
like I don't want to say there's no right and wrong like way of doing it, but since everything is so different and everyone's like story is unique, even when completing FAFSA, which is like one universal nationwide application that students complete, everyone's process on doing so is still very different. So just like Leslie said, like take what you need or tell your friends if they think they're gonna benefit from it. Because even with Leslie and I, like we both did FAFSA, but it was different.
Right, right. And also, there's a lot of high schools, that unfortunately don't have the help that they need for students to have these conversations. So that's why we try to talk about it and give out any advice that we can give to those students that need it or who are searching for it. But again, like we're just speaking from our own experiences and hope to help others.
From the
So
heart.
from the heart, right? So, kind of explaining what FAFSA is. So it stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and the purpose is it is used by nearly all colleges and universities to determine federal, state, and college-sponsored financial aid, including grants, educational loans, and work study. So the types of financial aid that you might be eligible for after completing the FAFSA is Pell Grants, which is some need-based grants for undergrad students. And this money does not have to be repaid um, unless you withdraw. But of course, that's kind of like another conversation. But it's not a loan or anything like that. It's free money that's given to you. And then there's state aid, which is primarily available to students who attend college in their own state of residence. There's institutional aid, which is provided by public and private colleges and universities to help their students pay for tuition and fees. Um, and there's federal work study programs, which are offered by colleges to help their students earn money by working part time on campus. And there's federal direct loans, subsidized and unsubsidized. that are available for undergrad and grad students attending college at least half the time, and these loans have to be repaid. So federal direct loans, subsidized and unsubsidized, we will not be focusing too much on that, because that's a whole nother. You could write a whole book on that. But
It's
basically,
messy over there.
right. But it's good to know what FAFSA kind of opens the door for, and how students can access other things when you apply. Um, so yeah, so kind of, since we all know the background of FAFSA now, we thought it would be cool to also get our own perspective, or our own stories of applying to FAFSA and so on. So, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can. Like basically what Leslie just mentioned. Okay, let me backtrack. DACA, right? Meaning like is a deferred action for early childhood arrival. So typically, like if si no eres ciudadano, you can apply for FAFSA. But with DACA, it's slightly different because they grant you or they give you a social security number, which allows you to complete FAFSA. So here's the what does it say? The caveat: out of all those grants and scholarships and federal aid, we're not able to get any of it. But in some institutions, like they require us to complete it, and others they don't, and it's like it varies. So like I know even with the purpose, it's just like depending on the college and by some, like that's what they mean. And so like from my experience, not freshman year, senior year of high school, um, it was just approaching us like the deadline's December 1st. It would tell us like December 1st, you have to fill it out, you have to fill it out. If not, like you're not gonna get any money. And so little me was like, okay, I'll fill it out. But it was much more deeper than just filling it out because of my status. And so thankfully I had my counselor and like I love her so much. She doesn't work there no more, but I asked her, I'm like, can you help me fill it out? Like she was aware of my situation. And then she's like, yeah, and I'm so grateful that she was actually like knowledgeable about it. And even beforehand, she would always tell me like, hey, Sophia, here's a scholarship that you can qualify for, you know. And so I was always grateful for her. But I know for me, it was just super like intimidating. And FAFSA already is intimidating as is, but like with my situation and with my parents, I was just like so nervous. I'm like, what if I put the wrong number? What if I put the wrong something? What if I misspell my name? Or, you know, just like desde chiquita, my parents would always be like, oh, I saw on el Facebook diciendo that if you do this wrong, that they're gonna go find you. And I'm like, mom, I'm scared. And so I was always like terrified of it, if I'm being honest. But like I just went and spoke to my high school counselor, and she literally walked me step by step. And I think it's just that misconception for DACA students that we can't fill it out because we're not like technically, well, we're not citizens of the U.S. But that's not true. Like that's not true. And so what I mean by that is like once again, they give us a social security number, meaning we could apply for it. We just won't get anything because it's federal aid. We can't get any federal assistance whatsoever. And so I told my counselor, I'm like, why do I even have to fill it out if that's the case? And she knew that I was interested in going to K State. And she said, well, at K State, you do have to fill it out. And I was like, why? I'm not going to get anything. And even so, like, K State is not like a federal, like, entity, I guess. And she just said that it helps out because it gives you a number. I forget what the number is called exactly, but they use that number to see, like, your financial need and to see what your results were or whatever. And from there, they're able to get like institutional scholarships, which are different. They're not funded by the government. They're funded by either alumni, donors, private investors, etc. Meaning I can qualify, like me as a DACA person can qualify. And so I was like, okay, I did it. Pero there was like an issue where, because of my situation, my DACA always, I mean, not my DACA, my FAFSA always showed up as incomplete
Mm-hmm.
for obvious reasons. And so we just had to like she helped me stay in close contact with financial aid here at K State, but they were pretty much on K State side, they weren't receiving it whatsoever. It just showed incomplete. So if it's incomplete, they're not gonna give you anything.
Mhm.
But thankfully they did. Like they knew about me, everything. We stayed in close contact. That was good. But ever since, like I'm a junior in college now, and I'm so scared of it. Like it's just something that I don't even know how to explain it. Like it's just that fear in the back of my head. Like what if? What if this happens? Even though I've done it like 3, 4 times. And so it's like it depends. In some schools, you don't have to apply for it simply because, let's say, me, I'm from Missouri. If I would have gone to UMKC, I would have to pay one international rate, even though I'm from Missouri. Two, I wouldn't have gone obviously any federal aid, which is fine. Like I already know that, but I wouldn't have gone any institutional. And so like at that point, I wouldn't have filled out the FAFSA because like I can't get institutional because of it, you know. And so it's just like a lot of like pros and cons of it when it's depending on the state that you live in and what school you want to attend. But on my case, I'm in a K State, and they allow me to like like go to school here at a non-international student rate, which is usually more expensive than out of state, and I get scholarships. So I'm very grateful for that. But I don't know. That's just like a little overview of my little FAFSA story. I don't know about you, Leslie. If you had like the same fear or something as that.
Yeah, and I guess something that can be like just kind of reflect back to what you talked about, which I really appreciate. I think a lot of students, a lot of DACA students can see yourself and can see themselves in what you're saying. And also people who just don't know like what happens to DACA students in terms of FAFSA. So the number that you're talking about, it's called the EFC, which is an expected
Yeah,
family
okay.
contribution. And it's a little number that comes up within your application. And then and basically what I took from your story is that it's really really important to do your research, and making sure that you have that down, like in terms of how your college is going to work with you to be able to provide financial opportunities for your education, and also yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that are out there, and like Sophia did, she researched, which is really, really good. And also reach out to people, like reach out to Sophia, reach out to us, reach out to your counselors, anyone around your community who is DACA, who can understand some of those issues, or if they don't, can connect you with people who can, because I think it's something that you need to kind of make sure you understand so it doesn't come to you as a surprise later on when you're in college and you're like, what do you mean I have to pay international rate, because whew, that's not cute. So you want to make sure you're knowledgeable on that. um and with my story, I mean, it so okay, so basically I don't know if my parents are gonna be cool with me saying this, but so my parents in the beginning didn't have like any social security thing, so I had to apply with the 0000, and the downside of doing that is that you're
Wait,
automatically,
wait, wait.
yeah.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but what does the 000 mean for
Oh,
those who
right,
don't
right.
know?
Sorry. I'm sorry. So when your parents don't have a social security number, if they're not citizens of the United States, then when applying to FAFSA, if you are a citizen, you have to implement your parents' information. So you have to put in their social security number. But since your parents don't have it, then you have to put 0000, like how much ever zeros, to be able to get your application to the next step. And basically when you do that, it automatically puts you at this like verification stage where they have to make sure that like what you are doing is like good and verified and whatever. So my parents hate fast food. My parents are the number one anti fast
Me
food people
too.
in this universe. Every time I tell my parents that I have to do fast food, they're like, "Oh no, here we go again."
Oh no, here we go again.
um, and yeah, they just don't like fast food because they're scared of it. They think it's an opportunity for the government to learn more about their story, and like there's just a lot of risk with it, so they just do not like it. So
Mhm.
Doing FAFSA for me, it's a difficult thing, especially when my parents don't want to get involved, but they have to get involved because the government like needs that information.
Yeah.
But basically, when I first came here to my school, it was I was on the 000 ideal, but then thank to God, my parents were able to get like a social security kind of thing, about I think it's 3 years now, 3 years ago.
Yay.
So then, but although that's a great thing, it also brought a lot of confusement because the university was like, what do you mean your parents have a number now, like, and so I'm like, guys, like, it's hard for me to explain, but telling them that, and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, so that means this and this and this. So basically, what they told me is that when they got the number, when it was like in the middle of the semester, and like I thought that could, like, I don't know, help in some way. It actually didn't. They were like, it's way too late, like, um because they wanted like verification, and the thing was
Yeah.
confusing because of my parents, and they're like, it's way too late, like your festival was not approved for this school year. And I was like, bro, like I fell into a deep, deep
No
ocean.
way.
Yeah.
Oh
So me and
my
my
god.
parents are like, what do you mean? So me and Fasma have a
No.
complicated relationship, but
Me too.
now things are very much more easier when it comes to your parents having that already. So if you're on FAFSA and your parents are citizens, you have a privilege there, because when your parents are citizens or when you aren't a citizen, it's so complicated. And counselors, like, they don't even know what to do because they're like, what, like 000, okay, like it's just a really tricky space, and every time you do it, it's like, make sure you do it right, or else something
Yeah.
this is gonna happen. So yeah, but basically what I want y'all to get out of my story is to make sure that you talk to someone, because we all go through it, and it's things we do in private, but I think it's good to let people know that even though your parents are citizens, or even though you aren't a citizen, things will be okay. um
Yeah.
yeah, and we're here to help you through that, because I know when we were doing it, we were also very scared. We're still scared. I'm still scared.
I'm so
So
scared.
that's
4 years
why.
later, I graduated. I'm still scared.
Right, right. No, I don't know. Fest was a whole nother thing, but definitely do it. And on our
Mhm.
website, Sophia, if you want to talk a bit about like
Yeah.
what that will have.
Um. First, I would like to say congratulations. I didn't
Uh,
know that.
yeah, I know. That's why we were eating tacos in Mexico, like like two
Oh.
Christmas ago. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Um, okay. So like Leslie said, like I know this podcast we focus more on our stories because it's true. Like it's our advice, our tips, our truth, and so we also want you guys to get something out of it. But that's not just our story and us talking about it. And so what we're gonna do is on the First-Gen College Chisme website, there's gonna be a step-by-step guide to on how to fill out the FAFSA if your family has like mixed immigration. So let's say like Leslie's family. Well, at the time, it was like that. For me, it still is. And then like that, it's pretty common. And so it's just easy to help with the process on filling it out. And it's also gonna like include like those little misconceptions. So let's say it's pretty. A lot of people think like if your parents don't have a social that you can't fill it out because of it. It's not true. It's like debunking those misconceptions. Just gonna have tips and tricks on there. So if you need help filling out the FAFSA, make sure to click the link in the Instagram bio, ¿verdad?
Right, right. And
Yeah,
we'll make sure to update that, because the thing is, like, every year things change, and there's more information that needs to be like known. And so
yeah,
yeah, and we also learn a lot more within our own experiences with FAFSA, and this whole thing. And I know our stories were a lot focused within undocumented
hmm,
experiences and stuff like that. But yeah, like, the I think just make sure to talk to someone about that, and
for
definitely check
sure.
up our resource, and make sure that you continue to pursue your higher education without having this fear, or making this like help you a little bit with that,
Yeah.
because yeah, like I said, we're all gonna be a little scared with it. It's
Mhm.
scary when someone's like, "What's your social security number? How much does your family make?"
How much is in your bank account?
Right, how much is in their bank account? And then they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, this," so it's just a
It's
lot to take
crazy.
in,
That's
especially
something.
with Latinx households for sure.
Yeah, and that's something else. It's just like take and grab what you need
Yeah,
out of it. Same thing. It's like an intimidating process as is, and we're just trying to help you guys because it's rough.
it
It's
is.
rough, but it's definitely doable and it's worth it if you're eligible for it. And not everyone is, but don't let that discourage you from applying for other scholarships or applying to your dream school because there's oftentimes a lot of opportunities. It's just about finding someone to talk to with then either that institution or like with your high school still, if you're at that step, finding someone or the right person to talk to, usually in financial aid. But yeah.
Yeah. And check out your trio programs if you have one in your school. But like Sophia did, she talked to her counselor. And I
Mhm.
think the first time you're doing it, you really want to make sure you're taking notes, and you're talking to someone through it, because you want to make sure you do it right, so you can do it every year, because you do have to do it every year in college.
Every year.
And that's why First-Gen Chisme also helps, because you can go back to it if you lost your notes and like check back and be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so that resource that we will put in, will be there for you to access, throughout your school year. So definitely check
For
it out.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of
That's it.
yeah, finalizes it. Thank y'all for listening and tuning back in. Like I said earlier, we will be doing meetings like every other week. I was about to say every now and then. No. Every other week. And I know some people have been emailing us about like some opportunities and trying to get involved. Sorry if we haven't reached back out, but we will definitely like all contact you. And yeah, if you have questions or anything, please feel free to email us. And we're here, so we're just busy college students, and we're trying to get everything done at the
Get
same
a
time.
degree, help everyone out, stay
Right,
healthy.
right, exactly. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, thanks, y'all. See you next
Yeah,
time.
thank you everyone. Bye.
All right, bye.